Hello and good afternoon. I am doing a log and I'm ad-libbing it again, so do bear with me. It's quite a complex subject, but I've came to my final decision because I was born in Surrey, Guildford, England, and obviously my dad is fully Welsh, from a full Welsh family, stemming away back. And then my mum is from Northern Ireland, and she has, obviously, our side of the family in this country also has French, Dutch, and Anglo blood in it as well from Northern Ireland. So I have decided that I am truly British. The next question is, what is being British? I've been living in Northern Ireland since I was 10 years of age, and Britain here is very much different from other parts of Britain. Obviously, people in Northern Ireland have the Orange Men. They have the 12th of July celebrating a war that was won from the Battle of Boyne many years ago. And they march for that as well. So these are the main distinctions compared to the rest of Britain. Being British, you do not have to have those elements. It's only in Northern Ireland. Being a Protestant is just a faith at the end of the day. And I have a very strong background in Christianity, though I have fallen. So I'm no longer religious, but if I ever was to return to religion, it would be Christianity. So what is being British? British is a country that has united for strength. And I'm going to look up on the internet now. I want to start off with Brittany, first of all, because Brittany is a very interesting history. And this is from Wikipedia. I know sometimes Wikipedia changes depending, and sometimes people can look up different information, but do research properly. Don't just take the first answer as it shows on the internet. This is from Wikipedia. Brittany is a peninsula, historic region and cultural area in the northwest of modern France, covering the western part of what was known as Armorica in Roman Gaul. It became an independent kingdom and then a duchy before being united with the Kingdom of France in 1532, as a province governed as a separate nation under the crown. Brittany is the traditional homeland of the Breton people and is one of the 6 Celtic nations retaining a distinct cultural identity that reflects its history. Brittany has also been referred to as Little Britain as opposed to Great Britain, with which it shares an etymology. It is bordered by the English Channel to the north Normandy, to the northwest, eastern, except there's a name I can't pronounce there, and to the Bay of Biscay, etc., etc. So Brittany, apparently, the Breton language is very related to, obviously, the Cornish language. And the Bretons, obviously, were there at one point. And if you look up the word, sometimes on the news you'll refer to a name called Breton, a Breton person who had just perhaps been mentioned on the news. So a Breton is a native. I've checked this meaning in the internet. Breton, which is Briton, is a native or inhabitant of Great Britain, a person of British descent. to a Celtic inhabitant of southern Britain before and during Roman times. Now, Britain has, funny enough, the land shares the exact type of land as anywhere else, whether it be Wales, Scotland, England, or Ireland. They all have stone circles. A Celtic. So obviously there are many different tribes that were across England, tons of them. And one of the most famous is the Insular tribe, which was Queen Boudica. And she attacked the original Londarium back in the first wave of the Roman invasion. And she actually won, but she was later captured and killed by the Romans. But they still respected her, and Celtic did survive in England, actually, and that's why Wales kept its strength as well. Because obviously the Romans came across and they encouraged people to set up universities and to encourage their language and their cultural. So Breton Britain is actually Celtic, as it sums up. People think Britain is only England. I looked up on the internet about American, the colonies of America, and they all said Britain, but they only showed the English flag. The Britain at the time was in an agreement with England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. The Trail of Tears was one of the biggest upheavals in American history. And basically that they were from the Jacksons, and a lot of Irish people, stroke Scot, invaded that part of America. So Britain is a collective. It is not just one part. You know, the hard borders are in our mind, but when you go across to Scotland, they're all the same people. We all have the same bloodlines, if you like. Britain is made up, and this is including Ireland, of course. Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England are all made up of Normandy, the Normans, 1066, the Battle of Hastings. Obviously, you've got your Anglo Saxons, and there's a lot of artifacts that were dug up from England, and they all had Celtic designs on them, and that was from Anglo Saxon. The Anglo Saxons, I think, are Germanic and something else, if you look at their old ancient language. If you look at the Exeter books, the old poems from England, they're very interesting to study. And we've got obviously Dutch, England has as well, Celtic, there's probably Norse, there's all sorts. So it's a very sensitive issue when somebody says ignorant things like get the English out of Ireland, because there is a lot of Anglo people in Ireland. I mean, it's tons of them, and they're Anglo-Saxon, they're Norman, there's French, they're all sorts, basically. They're Dutch, some people, you could question what it is being Irish as well. It's the same manner. We have the same makeup of cultural ideas, because obviously when Roman invaded, walked across the whole of Europe, they stole different aspects of different people's religions, including Celtic. But Celtic has changed over the years. A lot of people now consider it as Neo-Celticism, because original Celticism would have been to do with nature spirits and deities. Now Celticism is more about witches, and people would have did ceremonies around the stones, but that came much later. The original stones were almost like cathedrals and meeting places to the original Celtics, and they would worship the sun deities and whatnot. They actually had a language, because obviously Neo-Celticism, you could argue, is worldwide, because witches didn't just come from one country, because the early reference of a witch is actually from the Bible, which is the Witch of Endor. It's a very interesting. And when it says in the Bible, don't suffer a witch to live, it doesn't mean killing them. It means just outcasting them to an outside area. Just to underline that. But yeah, basically, so Britain is an ancient country, and it has a very complex history. It's only in later days it got a bad name with the, obviously, invading many countries, which I am ashamed about. And I do apologize whether I don't know about my history line, but this is the modern day. And sometimes in the modern day, people are trying to tarnish Britain with, should I say, they're trying to tarnish them to make out, especially England, to try and make out them to be a racist. And yes, there's a racist in all cultures and that, but it's time, I think, for peace in our environment. The modern world offers us to have a multi-layered, rich heritage of different cultures from all nationalities. And local to me means whoever's living nearby. So if a black person or a Hindu or Muslim, to me they're local because they're living around and about. So I call them cultural nationalities, local cultural nationalities. And obviously there was a lot of racism in Northern Ireland. They pulled people out of houses as well. And even in my area here, Clondoff, they broke windows and they drove out two families. One on the top part and the one down there as well. So, you know, and then they go over the top with all the flags plastered absolutely everywhere. So they're really intensely pumping it into you. But I would be more subtle about my British heritage, and I would look upon the old Britain more before the invasions and stuff like that. Because Britain obviously had many of its own problems and turbulence with civil wars. And so it's delusional to paint things black and white, like nationalist, Republican Britain. We're all the same. We have all the same bloodlines in us. So there's a lot of delusions, like the royal family being alien is one, ginger hair being Irish, that's another delusion, because obviously King David, he had ruddy ginger hair as well. Ginger hair, they're not just from one race or clan. Again, it's too, you know, people would have been, you know, mixed that way and stuff. Just because of colour of skin as well. It doesn't distinguish, a hair colour does not distinguish a certain country, because a country's built up of many different coloured hairs. So, and also Celticism. So England is actually strongly Celtic, believe it or not. I want to underline that point. The history, the evidence is there. And like I say, Ireland and England have both the same societal structure. There is no difference. They have witchy stuff, they have their own, and it's like a game. Like Ireland has more fairies. Fairies came from Ireland. But I have a book called British Goblins, and on the back it was written 100 years ago by an American woman who moved to Wales, and she learnt Welsh. I'll post it down below the name of the book. But it was written 100 years ago. But it says the main fairy influence was Wales, actually. The Tooth Fairy apparently came from Wales. The mistletoe sprig came from Wales, the kissing under the mistletoe, and stuff like that. And England has its strong Gothic as well. People think Ireland's the best at Gothic, but that's quite arrogant in the sense that the whole of Europe has, even the vampire came from Romania. You know, do you know what I mean? People, every country has a strong Gothic influence. So finding peace is not panicking and trying to grasp, oh, I own this, I want this is mine. It's like, If you're a national Republican, you have to support Palestine. If you're a Protestant, you have to support Israel. It's not like that. It's like my Saxon, my Viking, do you know what I mean? My Mandela, mine, and they take everything here, and they sicken you of it. But we are all the same, and peace is finding that respect and grounds that we all share and are neighbours to each other. There is no better country. There is no gooder country. You can't push it all to England. It's wrong. The hard borders are in here, but as soon as you cross it, they're all the same culturally. And people are even changing these names to ridiculous names to try and run away from it all. But I'm proud of my heritage. I'm proud of my name, Davies. I'm proud of who I am. I'd just like to say that. So I am British. I'm Celtic British, and I'm a Celtic Protestant. And I do wish peace in Northern Ireland. I think people should try more and stop being silly with all this, making it exclusive Celtic and pushing people out and outcasting people in these areas with flags. It's too much. It's just too much. Anyway, so that's it. There's a lot more history that you'll find that'll contradict, like, because England is very strongly French as well. There's a lot of French words in the English language, and there's a lot of French bloodline. Even my my great auntie married an English man, but he had obviously French descendants, Fernux. But it just shows you the ignorance there is out there, and they like to keep it going to create separation. Politics does divide the people, and I think it's time now to stand up. And I just do, and I think as well that people should not burn flags. Here in Northern Ireland, the Protestants burn the tricolor flag on top of the bonfire. And that is hate crime. I respect the tricolor flag, the Irish flag. I think it's a beautiful flag, and I actually do like the Irish. I've had my problems, and because of being brought up the way I was brought up, I've had many difficulties because of people's ignorance pushed onto me. But I think it's time now to change and to stop burning flags. And that goes with the national side as well. Sometimes they burn the British flag. It's childish. It's silly. You can't get away from who we are. It is who we are, and that's it. Anyway, thank you very much for listening, and peace, everybody. Hello, and welcome. Just before I sing this song, I'm just tell a little bit about it, just because obviously in this day and age there is an extreme lot of ignorance. And obviously this song's not going to be for everyone, because it is a proper English warrior song. I wrote it for the Celtics of England. And I like to set this straight away. If England's not Celtic, neither is Scotland, Wales, or Ireland. The reasoning for this is, this song is about Queen Boudica, who was a very early tribe of the Insular tribe of England, who fought against the first wave of the Roman invasion when they ruled 400 years in England, which obviously Romanized all of the Isles. A lot of people don't know that. That's why Roman Catholic. But basically the Romans encouraged people to submit, and basically they encouraged them to keep to their Celtic roots and keep their language alive. And basically they set up universities. It was the Romans who gave us universities, bards, archbards, and you obviously get the Book of Kells from that period as well, which is obviously all Roman influence. The thing about Romans is, that's why there's a confusion between Celtic Roman, because there isn't really such thing as Celtic Roman. It's only because of that reason where the Romans encouraged people to hold on to that Celtic and the arts and stuff at the time. But Celtic originally were against Rome, as were a lot of the tribes, early tribes. Even if you look up Hungary's history, they had to submit to the Roman authority, or else they would war against them, basically. And it is all true at the end of the day. So England actually is Celtic. I mean, all of the isles here are built up of French, Roman, Saxon, Norman, Dutch, Germanic, Norse. And there probably is slight threads of Celticism maybe through it all. But basically, the Isles here is actually a mix. There is no pure-blooded line, because over the years there's been so many wars. So I want to get that straight. I want to get rid of that delusion. And if you don't believe me, look up in history. Look up the timelines and work it all out, figure it all out, because there's a lot of contradictions in history. And people do like to rewrite history and stuff. I know Britain was bad, but a lot of people hid behind Britain, and they all were just as bad in many respects. But I'm not going to go into that now. So, this is a real English warrior song for those who are, for English roses, women who have lovely brown hair, or English Celtic women who have ginger hair, like Boudica. Queen Boudica had lovely English hair and then lovely pale skin, which is lovely. So English are strongly Celtic, and I wrote this song with love to England and respect because of the hardships England has actually gone through and took a brunt of a lot of the blame. I'm not saying there's no country that's perfect. I mean, every empire had their day, whether it's the Ottoman Empire or, with the Turkish and stuff. And they did a lot of, Britain was probably one of the last empires, actually. Now it's just a mass submission of a lot of people, basically, in this one, government that's, it's just horrible at the end of the day, But, I'm obviously for Celtic Britain. I am a Celtic Protestant. You're more likely to get a Celtic Protestant because of the history of Boudica than you are to get a Roman Celtic. The thing about Romanism is they took different ideas and aspects from a lot of different other cultures, which I think, is another confusion. And the stone circles, there's actually more Celtic stone circles in England. I'm not including Scotland or Wales than there is in Ireland. And obviously you get the big one. It was almost like the capital, which is Stonehenge, basically. But yeah, Roman took on Egyptian, Greek mythology, and Roman became this bit of everything sort of idea. But, people, no one really knows what Celticism actually was, but a lot of them believed in nature spirits. And again, because Roman took a lot of things, it was only later that witches and folklore came about, and they actually used the stone circles for their rituals and stuff. But that came later. I don't want to get that confused with Celticism, because they call that Neo-Celticism now, which is the modern form of Celtic, which is witches and all that witchcraft and stuff. But it's not necessarily the original Celtic tribes, who were very, a lot of them people were accused of being savage, a bit like the Native Americans. They believed in nature spirits and stuff, but they're not witchcraft. Do you know what I mean? They're beautiful own religion, and I think Celticism would have been something similar to that, but obviously differing in a lot of ways. I mean, they have their own gods, obviously earth gods, tree, and stuff. So there's a bit of history for you. You can look it all up yourself. There is an early French manuscript that was translated over 100 years ago, but it obviously tells on how they made the Celtics submit, because they lived like savage, and they would have used groves of trees for their churches, but the Romans taught them how to use temples and proper buildings for their churches of worship. And then it was the Romans who gave them the so-called pleasurable better life, so that rather than the earthly kind of savage way of life. But just because you come with manners, it doesn't make it good. But anyway, thank you very much for listening. So this song is dedicated to Queen Boudica, and she is my hero. Funny enough, I was thinking the other day, there's a lot of female heroes I actually like, and I didn't realise. But there you go. This one's dedicated. Well, mind you, I do like Clint Eastwood as one of my heroes, but this one anyway is for Queen Boudica, who I adore and love. And if it wasn't for her, she wouldn't have given me the strength that I have today. So yes, thank you for the spirit line of the Celts. Thank you.